Welcome to the Media and Ghetto Podcast with your host, Jamar. Today's topic is going to be about the Miami trip to go to the podcast summit that was ran by Social Proof Podcast, Donnie Wiggins, and my boy David Shands. It was pretty dope overall. We're going to go into some more details about it, but let me tell you about my day. Word of advice, a medium ghetto word of advice. Do not send pickle pics to your coworkers at work. And just to reflect on what year it is, again, it's 2023, so anything can happen. So kind of the wildest things I've seen is more guys have sent more pickle pics to guys than ladies at the workplace. Stop doing that, please, Lord, because then I have to spend my time asking you questions and getting the information I definitely do not want to know. Well, shout out to you wasting my day, but let's go on to it. So first of all, the flight there, I flew Frontier, right? So just to let you know, this is my second time flying Frontier. My first time was like 2 years ago. So I was like, I thought the Frontier could get a lot better, but it didn't. Absolutely did not. The cushions were like this thin, like it was this thin. I could hold the whole seat in my hand like that. Not a comfortable flight, very tight. I thought I paid for bags, but I had to pay for bags there, so it was like an extra $80 just for a carry-on. Bad experience overall, but it's my fault for not planning, because 4 months ago, the podcast summit was announced. I had the cash. I chose at the last minute to go, and this is why. I had some crazy thoughts, like, oh man, 700 to 1,000 to like 1,500, 1,200 just to go there with the basic ticket. I was like, I could use the money on equipment. I could use the money to further my resources with the podcast. But you know what I did? I took a leap and said, yo, I need the information. One of the lessons they taught me at the podcast summit was this: get the information first so you can move smarter, you can move faster, you can move more confidently. And I really approved that message. Overall, great experience. But with that being said, just let's know I flew back on Spirit. And Spirit is somehow better than Frontier. I don't know what happened. I think they buy the Spirit bought Frontier or something like that. It's a whack company right now. I'm going to just go American Airlines next time, or United, or whatever. Anything other than Spirit and Frontier. I learned my lesson. So I got off the plane. It was hot, but I was always already like prepared. I had my flip flops on, had my shirt on, I was ready to go. Went to the hotel. I've never been to Miami before, so it was kind of dope to see how the layout was. Everything was so close. I was a 10-minute walk from the main hotel. I stayed in the Holiday Inn for about like $500. I went in my room. It was 2 beds. I only ordered 1 bed, so I don't know how they got that wrong. Thank you. If I'd known, I would have probably asked someone to bunk up with me, but I went by myself. That being said, when I went by myself, I actually have invited like 10 to 12 different people because they gave us a free ticket to take someone else. And it's the crazy thing. I pretty much said, just buy your flight. And a flight for me was only round trip about $120. So all I was asking for about $120 to $160 investment, and you would have been able to stay with me, a free podcast ticket, same one I got, summit ticket. You would have got to meet spectacular guests and have a great time, but many of you didn't. Which made me realize, so the type of people that are there are the people who will invest in their future. And this is why it's very important to either earn your way in the room or pretty much pay your way in the room. And that was a big lesson I learned at the podcast summit. So I paid my way in the room. I met so many creators that are phenomenal. When I first tried to get podcast creators and learn more about YouTube, I was going on these community open groups on Facebook, and many of the people wasted my time. Many people didn't know what they want. Many people were just super self-serving, wanted to get their message out about their business to as many people as possible, but did not want to do your theme of the episode. They just wanted to get on their platform and pretty much just do a 30 to 40 minute commercial, not helping out and catering to your audience, which is definitely not going to happen. Shout out to the person who asked me to do that, and I did not. I left you on red, my guy. It's all about the audience, and it's all about them and supporting them and giving them great stories. Anyway, it was all types of people. There were introverts there, extroverts there. There were people from Bermuda, excuse me. And there were people from the UK. People flew from Africa. People flew from all around the world. It was dope. It was a really dope experience. I met some really nice people. The first day of it was Saturday. The first day of the conference was Sunday, but the first day I got there was Saturday afternoon, so I had a lot of time. So we actually met at like a putt place to play putt golf. We did not play putt golf, but we did play. We did meet at the bar. I was the first one there, a little nervous. We messaged each other. They actually gave us an app. So the cool part about the podcast conference and the podcast summit, they gave us an app that let us connect with over close to 1,000 different podcasters. And even after today, I still have connections from those podcasters. So at this moment, and in between these podcast episodes, I'm booking time, I'm booking meetings. So it was much more. I've received much more than a conference or a summit. I actually received the whole community. I only paid for the general admissions for $300. I think VIP was $700, and with VIP you get the record on site, and I wish I got VIP because one, I could have recorded on site, had a bunch of episodes done before the weekend was over, but still general was really good because they gave me a community again. They gave me access to that community after the conference. I've gotten to meet a lot of the speakers. The speakers are down to earth. They didn't shoot me away because I guess I'm not a no-name or something like that, which teaches you something. Like, once you make it, not everybody's going to be like, oh, I'm him, and push you away. Some of the speakers even gave me their contact information for podcast episodes, which is really dope. That's a really important thing about buying yourself in a room. Some of the people that came to the conference, you think they're going to be people who just started their IGs, who just started their social medias. There were some prolific names in that building already. We even seen Les Brown, who was a part of the conference, but Les Brown was in the building. It was really, really, really dope. But all that to say is the networking is very important for your success too. It's not all about what you know, it's about who you know. Because if you get on the right platform with the right skill sets and you've been practicing and getting better, then people will attract to you. They're going to be like, yo, this is a great episode. His podcast or his YouTube channel must be dope. So again, buy yourself in the room. And I really love creators because creators are amazing, right? Creators are a different type of people. It was a different world being near all creatives. It was so free. We were pitching ideas. It was like your imagination was the limit at that conference. You could do anything. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go quickly over a couple of the classes and on day one. So let's talk about the start of day one, right? So day one registration was at 7 a.m. Doors open at 8:30. I won't lie, we was a little on CPT time on that one. Doors opened at like 9. We started around like 9:30. Donnie Wiggins was on. She had a phenomenal PowerPoint. She got straight to the point. She taught us how to build our podcasts, what to do, and she set a general tone for the whole conference. So she gave a very, very, very like general overarching overview of the whole subject of building a podcast. So she filled us in right there. I swear, just from when she started, I could have moved forward just from what she taught that time. Afterward, David came on, and then after that, we had my boy Mario Armstrong come on talking about how to grow your brand with sponsorships, right? So the important part about what he taught us was he taught us how to do a pitch deck. So you should have been there, but I'll let you know this: a pitch deck is more. It's more about how you got to learn about the mission of the company you're trying to pitch to, and then you have to say, hey, how you help them on their mission. And it's honestly about them. You are the solution. You call the company with a solution with your pitch deck. He taught us how to do like a 2-page if we need to, or a 2-slide pitch deck which was very dope. And then what they had was this. They had like breakdowns where on the first day you can either choose this class or you can choose this class. It's kind of like choose your own adventure. So I chose how to grow your own brand with sponsorships. The other one was how to find your authentic voice, which I don't think I need all the way. I need more of the business side of things. Because, medium ghetto, I think I got my voice right already. But that's very important for people who just started to find an authentic voice. I remember listening to David and Donnie. They're like, a lot of people ask them, hey, how can I get on your podcast? How can they get on? How can you get on my podcast? And they won't even do it if you're over 25. If you're not even over 25 episodes, because you're not consistent yet. I'm close to 50, and I can tell you, I'm so happy I haven't gotten like a celebrity or someone on my podcast yet, just because I'm just getting the skills enough to entertain people and learn how to conduct a good interview, or learn how to conduct a great conversation, or build a vibe. Like, you gotta go through the motions to learn how to do that. They taught things like the ultimate secrets to getting your show ranked, which was amazing. So one thing I want to take from this cheat code, so Apple, right? It's not about how many followers you get or how many subscriptions you got already. It's about trending. So Apple Podcasts is actually a trending chart. So for you to do this, one trick they did was this: they paid virtual assistants to shoot out messages to people who like their post on IG to invite them to actually like their page and their YouTube. And they're also their Apple Podcasts. So what it does is it helps you be ranked. And once you get ranked, you could go from like 100 listens a week to 5,000. You just gotta get ranked. But definitely, what's her name? It was Hala Taha. She is from the Young and Profitable podcast. She did this class, if I'm correct, and it was phenomenal. It was a lot of information. It was the most business oriented, I think, class that was there. It was really, really, really good. Very detailed, a lot. I had to take pictures of it. I'm still, absorbing that, right? And then we came back and we learned how to create viral moments on our workshop. And what this did for me, it clarified what I needed to do to get these viral moments. Because honestly, you're not going to know exactly what's going to go viral yet. But we did learn some cheat codes here, or we could say some hacks. So y'all learn some hacks. One of the hacks is this: you got to make sure you download things like CapCut, right? You could take a sound that's trending and just screen record the video, still the sound, place it as your audio on your CapCut video, right? And do it that way. And many of us want to be the originators of things, but also you need to start taking that wave of trending things on Instagram, because to be honest, if you put a post and not many people like it in a certain amount of time, you're not going to the algorithm's not going to share any of your posts, any more of that post. So for you to do that, you must get a popping post that's trending, and you can use the trends to grow faster. So that's what I learned from that. Use trends to go faster. Working with a podcast agency, do's and don'ts. What's dope? So with that being said, like, keep in mind, it's gonna be a deal, but don't get 360s. That's all I can say. I went to protecting your intellectual and content brand legally. Get the LLC. Get the what they call that? I believe copyright. Get the copyright. Get everything done legally, and just make sure. Like, one gentleman, he had Instagram in his podcast name, so he had to remove that because he doesn't want to get in trouble in the future. Imagine building this big brand with that one name, and now you got to change it all of a sudden. It could mess you up. So keep that in mind. Talk with a trademark lawyer and figure it out. Supersizing your YouTube growth was really good. I really enjoyed that with Omar. Shout out to Omar, let me harass him the whole time. I talked this guy's head off. He did tell me my thumbnails are trash, but he also taught me what to do, which I really appreciate that. I'm stuttering. I really appreciate that, right? So mine's was a little too complicated. He teaches a 3-element process. So you should have 3 elements, like a background, a text, and a picture. You shouldn't have too much going on in your thumbnail. And also with my titles, I found out they were really too long. They were pretty much explaining the whole video in the title. You gotta have a title that makes someone think. Like this title might be, was it worth it? Was the podcast summit even worth it? And you're like, what you mean? Y'all gonna figure it out, because some of y'all was like, I don't want to pay for it because it's such and such money and I gotta do a trip. So y'all gonna figure out when y'all listen to this, right? I didn't go to the ultimate setup for virtual interviews. I think I got that down. But if you got VIP, you actually would get all the replays. So one thing I should have did was get VIP, because I would have got all the replays so I could have studied again and reconsumed. I would have got the podcast booth. I would have got the creator space. There was a bunch of locations that you get if you get VIP. Like they had a creators lounge. You get some headshots for free, I believe. It would have been dope. So get the VIP. That's what I suggest next time. We got the meet Angela Yee, which is dope. Very calm. I love when I see like more introverted and soft-spoken creatives, because at one point I used to think that I had to be a lot louder and be a certain type of person. But I can be myself, which is pretty dope. And with that, afterward they had a mastermind all-star Q&A. Guess what? I didn't qualify because I didn't buy the mastermind or all-star tickets, which were great. But could have been some good prices right there. And they had a dinner, so they even paid for your dinner, which is dope. And again, that's about buying your way in the room. The cool thing about buying your way in the room, I asked some of the speakers, can they be on my podcast? And they agreed. So I have to fly to Atlanta and other places. But at the end of the day, if I keep getting better, like people that are trending on my podcast, then I therefore will be trending. And it's going to be proof, social proof, that my podcast is worth listening to if that person's on it. So it's like a stamp, right? But after the whole thing, what we did was, I'm trying to think what we did after the night. So we had a nightlife. We went out. We got some food. We chilled. I got some drinks. And one thing I could say is, make sure you go out. If you're just meeting new people, figure out who is the most like decisive person with food. Because also I say, like, the first person I was hanging out with, they were not decisive with food. I was like, I'll probably eat with them. Well, at the end of the day, I wanted to go eat by myself because I get hangry. So I was like, nah, you can get away, right? And types of people I've seen too, it's crazy dynamic. There's a lot of bad old heads there. In Philly we call them Jones. A lot of bad old head Jones there, right? I was like, dang. But they have different types of people. They had the where's my hug at guy, and pretty much my man was giving me big creep energy. And I just don't like people like that. And you just come to this conference to get hugs, and then some of the people, it's like there's a bunch of different type of people, right, that come to these conferences. I've been to a good amount of business conferences for things. You got the people who come for the vibe, the people who come to learn, and the people who come to get to the next level. The people with the vibe, some of them or most of them don't have a podcast. That's not a bad thing. You're still getting and growing and trying to develop yourself so you can get a podcast, you can know how to do it. But honestly, after this conference, you should know everything you need from start to finish, from infrastructure to how to write an episode to all that. You should know all of that after this conference. You will know all of that. So if you haven't been at this conference, I suggest you get to that next conference that he's having. So always look out for his events. This is my first event with Social Proof. I wanted to go to ones in Atlanta. It's just how my schedule worked out, but I'm happy I went to this one. Then we got the people who are there ready to learn, and they're learning. They were taking notes, they're taking notes, but they may not act on it fast enough. Then you got the people who are there to get the next level. They're taking notes, and then the next session, the breakout sessions, what they're doing is they're using what they learned in them notes to create content, which is amazing. And those are the type of people I hung out with because they motivated me. And one thing about motivation, I think I got in a discussion with somebody. I was like, if someone has to motivate you, then you just don't got it. And pretty much saying that people shouldn't have to inspire you to move forward or anything like that. I get it. I get what you're coming from. But honestly, being in a vibe, being in a motivation, being in an environment, it will help you conduct the behavior to make you grow. the pretty much it feels like it just makes you grow. You are evoked with emotion. You have to grow. It's like the law of growth. You're in that environment. If that environment's going up, you have to go up. It's like going to a gym, like let's say Planet Fitness, right? I don't like Planet Fitness, and the people who usually go there don't often come to the gym. Their diet's not that good. They're not the most committed. They don't even buy like a gym uniform, you could say. I guess you call it a gym uniform. But then you got places like The Edge and LA Fitness and the higher up gyms. These are the serious people. They have accessories. They have supports. They know their workouts. They know what to eat. They look great. And being around those people just makes it feel like it forces you to be great. And you just got to get in rooms with great people that feel like it forces you to be great. And just to let you know too, I'm going to have a separate video. Most likely will be posted before this video. And it's going to show some of the people I've met and some of the people I took a video of, and it's going to go over what their podcast was and what they learned from their podcast, and I will link that video to this video, so check it out. All right, so day 2, after I woke up and I'm tired, I'm like, man, I'm gonna be late because I woke up. I was like, I hit like 8 alarms in my hotel room that kind of looks like a crime scene on CSI. I'm definitely going to stay at the Intercontinental, even though it's like a 5-minute difference, $200 difference next time. It was nice. I could have, vibe more. Oh, but backtrack. I forgot her name, but this one lady, she hired a vegan chef, and we had vegan food. I felt so welcome. Because you know how hard it is being a person who eats vegan food, and everyone eats meat, and then you're in like and no one wants to compromise. I appreciate her. Shout out to people in Texas. Shout out to people in Atlanta. Y'all hooked me up this whole weekend. Texas and Atlanta. Y'all was the hook up this whole weekend. I really appreciate y'all. Everybody from Texas and Atlanta hooked me up. Being from the Philadelphia area, I don't know if y'all would have did that for me. They said I was a little aggressive for being from Philly, but all the Philly guys, I met some Philly people. We didn't feel like we were being aggressive. It was dope. I guess being up north, we are a little bit more aggressive. But woke up, serial killer looking hotel room, got out. Went to CVS. The CVS in Miami Beach area is amazing. You can buy almost anything in that CVS. And I suggest you do before you go to the hotel, because they have Starbucks and everything else that's a little overpriced. And on the way there, there's a Ross Dress for Less. Cool thing about Miami, there were so many restaurants. There were so many food stores. There was a Whole Foods. There were so many resources in a 10 to 15 minute walk that you don't need a car. Do not buy a car if you're going to go to one of these conferences and your hotel is in the conference and you're in a good city. You literally can walk everywhere. I think I took an Uber once or twice. I took an Uber my first night back to my hotel room because we partied before, and I didn't realize that my hotel room was a quicker walk than taking a Lyft or Uber because of traffic, which is crazy. All right, so day 2, we did our opening ceremony. Welcome, woo, yeah, right. So we went to the art of the interview, which was really good for Dave. He really taught us how to interview people. It was amazing. He taught me not to agree with everything. You gotta kind of get conflict. You gotta have a little emotion. You gotta be like, yo, wait, explain that. You can't let people. You just can't be like, yeah, that's right, yeah. And also, you have to listen. It's not always about all the questions you wrote down before the interview. It's about you being flexible and having a conversation with the person. And you can direct it without going down this list of premeditated questions. So know the end goal, I guess, or know what messages you're trying to convey to your audience. Don't just go down a list and listen. He could tell when people don't listen. So you can really tell. Like, I didn't realize it was that obvious. So if you're having a guest on, don't, listen to them, ask them follow-up questions. Disagree on a couple things. Ask for more information. If someone says something wild, like, yo, slow them down and be like, what you mean? It makes no sense, man. That's crazy. So we had a fireside chat. We had a building value in an oversaturated market. So there's so many podcasts out there, right? How can you distinguish yourself? One, a lot of people don't realize that most of the podcasts, over I think it's close to 75 or 80%, most of them disappear within the first 10 episodes. They don't post anything else. So if you're making it to 25 or 50 episodes, you're good. If you have, I believe you said, if you have 400 or 500 listens a week or a month or something like that, you're in the top 10% of podcasters. To get in the top 1%, you got to start getting the thousands. So majority, over only 10% of the podcast industry kind of gets it. And keep that in mind. So if you know someone who's got those numbers, listen to them, get to know them. You know what I mean? And build a community. One big thing I learned from someone a lady at the podcast conference, you can be a big name, right? And you may not have a community. And creating a community makes things build faster. Like, this one lady had such a community that they messaged this other popular podcaster and say, you need to put this lady on your show. You need to put this lady on your show. Your fans will help you out. Build that community, and that community will build you. Him 500, how to create creative content, was amazing. He talks about using trends. He talks about writing down and making concepts that works. He just talks about having fun with it. Just have fun with it. But make sure you post like carousels, post 3 times a day on IG. Use those trends to move forward. But overview, what he pretty much taught is, just go out and be creative to things. Like, this is, when you're creative, there's not many wrong ways to go with it. One thing he said is pay for ads. If you pay for an ad on a page that does have nothing to do with your content, let's say you have a controversial content, right? You post on like a dog page about something crazy that people may be said, perceived by women. The right people might be like, this don't belong here. But all those people are engaging now and saying, hey, this doesn't belong here. So all that engagement will boost that post even more. So now that post actually started from, using like, engagement is good. Engagement, period, is good engagement. Any kind of engagement. Bad engagement is good. So bad comments and good comments are both contributing to engagement. So keep that in mind. You can go viral from bad comments. And be yourself enough to offend people a little bit. And make people question you. To the point where they have to comment, or else they're going to be like, damn, I just got chumped. So then we had Trina there. I think it was Bobby. I don't watch like love and hip hop at all. But Trina is pretty dope. When I was a kid, I had a little crush on Trina. And I thought she was a little ratchet, but she's so soft-spoken and such an introvert. But it's, like, the cool thing about introverts is once we get on stage or once we're in the spotlight, we perform. But afterwards, we just want to be left alone. Just let you know. Perform and left alone. After this, I'm going to be left alone. I'm actually going to a taco festival this week. It's going to be dope. And then we had Live with David and Donnie. The craziest question I've heard this whole week. It was like they asked David and Donnie, so how long have you been married? They're not married, guys. So and David is a married man. So that's a wild ass question. So keep that in mind. Right? But one of my 2 biggest takeaways, which really have like contributed to my life, is almost everyone lacks confidence on a new journey. And sharing your vision with experts help you crystallize your message. So one moment I was sharing my vision with Mario Armstrong and what my podcast is about. It's an unprofessional podcast. So this podcast is supposed to be unprofessional, right? It's an unprofessional podcast for professionals, so we can like let loose and have fun and be ourselves from this corporate office. And I would say slavery, but I'm not going to say slavery. Don't ban me. And he was like, oh yeah, tell me more about the concept and the topics. And I couldn't name it all because we talk more about general topics. We go deeper in things. We talk for everything from trauma to office drama. So that could be anything from mental health, trips, vacations, events, current events. Some wild stuff a celebrity said. What I got to say about that. It could be about a bunch of those things. But he helps me crystallize that. And when I first came to the podcast summit, one big question I had was like, how can like a more entertaining podcast per se get traction? Because a lot of people want to be a niche. and I didn't want to niche down. I didn't want to make this another business endeavor per se that I wasn't being creative with or having fun with. It feels like everything I do, being in corporate America and having an awesome hot sauce business and doing food catering at festival, it always feels like business, and you don't have a lot of fun in a creative field. But being in a podcast, it feels like a creative field. It feels like a podcast to me feels like those times when you were young, with everyone, by the way, when you're on the steps with your friends at night, when you had dial up, so you had a reason to be outside. We had to wait until the web page loads anyway. It felt like that. It felt like just being on them steps and having them conversations. Podcasts feel like a great conversation with a good friend. And another takeaway was this. So there's the 7-hour rule, right? The 7-hour rule is saying this: if people listen to 7 hours of your content, in their mind, it feels like they know you, and they're going to start consuming more and sharing more detail because you shared enough to make them feel like they know you. You know what I mean? But again, so the next thing attached to this episode, it's going to be a video of everyone who actually I met and who pretty much promoted their podcast in a row, and you're going to see a bunch of people like throw their podcast ideas out and what they took from the weekend. With that, I bid you adieu. Stay medium ghetto. Bye.